That was better. So this week we had a episode that actually did something the past several haven't, and that's actually try and use its plot points to tell a story as opposed to just random shit. So this week we continued Yusaku versus Spectre, and they brought up some interesting ideas, and I like that. The first thing they brought up that I really liked, and one thing I want to bring up, someone brought up this up in the comments last week, was they love the background work and the angles in this. That's actually really a good point. I like how there's sort of always this feeling of uneasy tension as Link Vrains just sort of disintegrates. It's not just a thing in the background that's happening. It is a plot point, and it is an element affecting what's going on in the situation. I really think that's done well, because if it was a real-life city blowing up, you would think, oh, either people are dying or you just wouldn't be affected at all. But this is a nice middle ground of reminding you time is running out without distracting you from the overall situation. Another thing I really like, I do like the conflict going on here better than I like Spectre versus Aoi, which just felt random. Making it that these two people went through the same trauma, but showing how different they went is a neat idea. Yusaku being that he became obsessed with revenge, he became obsessed with a goal. Spectre is just kind of like, I just do whatever. Like, I don't care if I'm crazy. I don't care if I die. Like, that's what I like about this suicide cult plot point, is that you literally have this guy who's like, I'm just going to see it through. Revolver's my hero. He gave me a purpose. It's a neat idea to think about as you get Yusaku, on the other hand, who made his purpose, didn't feel like it was given to him like Revolver did, or Spectre did. I think it's a neat idea, and I hope it gets explored further. Also, I like the idea that Spectre still sort of talks like he wants to fuck Yusaku. Like how he kind of had this rapey tone to him when he dueled Aoi. I like that stays. It's just creepy. And I think that also plays into the fact that Revolver looks old. Why do I keep calling Revolver? Spectre looks older than Yusaku, even though in theory they would have to be around the same age. It sort of plays into an idea I've brought up with Kusunagi and to a lesser extent Go and Akira, that idea of looking to someone, taking the advice of someone, that kind of thing. I think that's the theme here, and I do like it. As for the duel, oh boy, this felt long as hell. So first up, people brought up in the comments that on Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, the official card text, I think it's for the Link 2 that summon tokens, officially states that you can't summon a Link 4 the turn you use the effect. This is, yes, it is the legitimate point and the reason why. I'm glad people brought it up and saw it for themselves. That being said, that is ultimately just a plot convenience. It is literally an excuse for why Yusaku doesn't go first turn Firewall and bounce that thing back. In reality, Yusaku should build his entire deck around Firewall all the time. I play World Chalice, a deck that is basically summon Firewall and pray to God you don't get kaiju'd. As I learned this previous weekend. But essentially, it's... I liked all the effects that were used, but the problem is that turn took 15 minutes. Like, or 10, or too long. Like, the thing is, we know all these things already. We know what the plant thing does. We know this guy's strategy is based around keeping his life points high till he's ready to finish you off. We know these things. Why did we have to sit through it all over again? And before anyone's like, well, Yusaku didn't know, and that is the way this guy duels, that's still time we had to lose. This is time you could fill with other stuff. Like, where's Go? What is Go doing right now? Why isn't he here? Where is he? It's just one of those things where it's like you only get, and I've brought this up before, that 25 minutes you get a week is precious time. Don't waste it. It's like when they did Iron Fist on Netflix, and the first 3 episodes or so is just dedicated to people wondering, is this really Danny Rand? Did he really survive a plane crash? Did he really get trained by monks? When we know he's Danny Rand, why else are we watching a show called Iron Fist? It's just that same sort of thing of, we, the viewer, it still needs to be entertaining. Like, even if it makes sense, it still needs to function as, okay, I'm glad I watched this, not, wow, they're really trying to stretch time for a cliffhanger. I like the second half of the duel, Yusaku's turn. I like the fact that Yusaku did something I feel like we rarely see him do. He actually did a play that made sense. He summoned Link Spider, which is a great card. Then he summoned Xcode Talker. He actually used Xcode Talker, which I'm glad for, because Xcode Talker was used once. It looks cool, but its effect is shit. So seeing it actually serve a purpose here was really cool, especially because so many of cards Yusaku uses feel like one-offs. Seeing them actually come back and do something is nice. So I like that. And then I do like the fact that Spectre, I know I'm saying a lot, Spectre had a countermeasure that wasn't just my unbeatable 8 effect trap card. Although that being said, I'm looking at this tree thing thinking, for the love of God, kaiju it. Shut up, phone. Someone even put that in the comments under Crunchyroll. Kaiju this thing. Let me keep in mind, if no one from Mark 5 was going to use kaijus, this asshat isn't. So the Spectre thing of bringing Akira into it is a neat idea, because it goes back to that idea that Yusaku is not fully gone. He's not fully evil. He's not fully willing to give up his morals, even if he doesn't always recognize that. Whereas Spectre, someone who has just given up every sense of humanity he has, can then recognize this and abuse it. Now, this tension is kind of taken away when you immediately see Kusunagi go to his keyboard to start looking for countermeasures, but whatever. I like what this does for Yusaku as a character. I think the scene would be stronger, and I know people are going to get annoyed because I keep bringing her up. Maybe if they did it with Aoi. Like, if when Aoi lost, maybe Spectre absorbed her mind or whatever. Also, why do they keep calling her Blue Angel even though they know her name? Like, just call her Aoi. Stop with Blue Angel. I know they just released a bunch of Blue Angel sleeves in Japan, but come on, stop. Where was I? I don't know, I just feel like Yusaku and Akira don't have any kind of a connection, and one of the problems I'm having with Yusaku is he doesn't really have a connection to anybody. He interacts with Ignis, but he mostly just insults Ignis. He interacts with Kusunagi, but my problem with Kusanagi's just tech support. He's basically just there to enable Yusaku. They haven't taken time to really give Yusaku a human connection to anyone, so the scene, even though it is scary because we like Akira as a character and we understand that Yusaku doesn't want innocent people to get hurt, I just feel like there's not as much entertaining investment as there should be or could be if you went with someone Yusaku has a relationship with it. I want Yusaku to grow as a character, but he feels very stagnant. This is what happens when your character just wins all the time and can never lose. He doesn't really grow. Yusaku doesn't feel that much different from episode 1 as he does right now, because it's all just the same scenarios. It's like I was talking about with Aoi a couple weeks ago. You didn't really change anything. You haven't really developed the character much. You just keep repeating the same things. Yusaku has had to balance wanting to save somebody with revenge and all this stuff. So why is this any different now than it was then? Especially because, again, we see Kusunagi going to find a solution. I'm not saying next week they won't do a good job of maybe Spectre playing with Yusaku's head more, as far as, well, how far are you willing to go? What is it worth? All that stuff. I feel like maybe you could have had a more solid foundation to it. That's really where I end up getting annoyed. And the one last thing I will say is, does it really matter if Akira gets unconscious? Like, I assume everyone will come back to life anyways, and you already played up the whole, their mind was absorbed into a computer. Aoi's mind was just absorbed into a computer. You've taken all the tension away from this. Like, even if he goes into a coma, and look, it is a good scene when Ignis says, just finish the duel, we'll worry about it later. I'm still siding with Ignis. Finish the duel and worry about it later. The one time Yusaku does a legitimate play that actually feels intelligent, it essentially just gets curb stomped by this nonsense. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts. Tell me in the comment section below what you think. And as for the TCG question of the week, normally I'd ask what you're hoping to get from Sneak Peek, but here's an interesting one. What do you think of our TCG imports? We got mostly Link Vrains pack stuff and Scramble Egg, which triggered SEMO, and a lot of people are annoyed we didn't get a 10th Link Vrains card. Personally, I'm surprised they gave us 9. I thought we were going to get maybe 5, and we would get 5 each set. Because remember, yeah, needle fiber is important. Heavy metal foes is important. There's several important ones, but most of them are just only if you're a fan of that deck, which is great. I love the Link Vrains pack. I hope they do another one. But ultimately, the only things we really need come national season is needle fiber and heavy metal foes, which we're getting. So I'm not that particularly concerned. I'm actually sad so many of them are low rarity. Like the Cleafort one, which is an amazing card, is just a rare. So what's up with that? But are you all okay with this? Do you wish we weren't getting so many? Because there's a lot of other stuff a lot of people still want. Do you think it should have been a 10th card? Are you worried they'll make one of these things a prize card? Are you worried we may never get some of the stuff from this? Are you triggered like Simo we're getting a silly anime card? I honestly don't care either way. I just want my heavy metal foes before they like get to 100. I actually like what that card does for Magician Pendulums as a deck. But tell me that below. And as always, click to like, click subscribe, and let's hope things keep getting better.